The first drawing type that we're going to go over is the basic isometric. So we're going to go over into a blank file. And the first thing that we're going to do is just show how the drawing would be constructed basically from scratch. So the object that I'm going to start out with is just going to be a 1" by 1" cube. So if we look at something that looks like this, so that would be our plan view, and then obviously we would have this in a cube form. So I'm going to go over just how to construct this basic drawing. So I guess we can go over actually and draw, if we draw a cube, so that would be our basic object. So the way that we're going to look at drawing this now is going to be, if we go back to our key file, what we're looking at here is a 30-degree angle, a 30-degree angle, and then all of our verticals are still vertical. So what we're going to go through and do is just draw the first sort of box at the bottom here. So if we look at our base drawing here, we're going to just go over to the side here. And in this view, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line at 1". And then we can actually do a rotate here. And we'll rotate it by -30. So that'll rotate that left edge up. Then here, since I already know that that's at 1" long and at 30 degrees, I can actually just mirror that, and then we can go ahead and copy these over. So you can also turn on things like tracking here. So that would basically be our base of this object. So then what we know from there is all of our verticals are going to also be measured dimensions. So if we do all of these at 1". Oops. Then what we can basically do, since it's just a cube, is I could go ahead and copy this up. And then obviously this would be a hidden edge and that would be a hidden edge. So that would basically be what our cube would look like if we went in and drew it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you guys how to do it just looking at this object. So the first thing we'll do is we'll look at just doing one object, and then what we can look at is doing what it would look like with multiple objects. So the version of an isometric in Rhino is actually probably the easiest one of these three because there's already a view set. So if we think of this as north, northeast, true east, and so on, we can right click on our perspective view and go to set view. There's an option for isometric here, and then we can choose either northeast, northwest, and so on. So if I just click northeast, you'll see that my viewport changes. The problem is if I zoom around, it's going to get rid of that isometric view. So I'll go back and do set view, northeast, and then if we hold shift and scroll, and we can obviously scroll in and out. So now we can select that object and do a make 2D. What I'm going to do here is in my options, I'm going to do view, maintain source layers, and then I'm going to add my hidden lines to this just so that I have them if I need them. So then if I go to my top viewport, I'm going to take a look at this object. Now we can see that it looks a little bit smaller. I don't know why Rhino does this, but it scales it a little bit. So we can just go from here, and then we can take a measured edge that we have and we can make that 1" long. So then if we typed out our distance, we see that that's 1", that's 1", and this one should be 1". So we look good. So what we can do now is we can just distribute these out onto their layers. So for a 3D drawing, I'm just going to do my profile as one. Then I'll do my inside edges as another. And obviously with a more complex shape, you would have more of these layers. But for the sake of what we're doing, that would be your basic isometric. And then if we get rid of those, you'll see what that looks like. So again, we can do this with multiple objects. So if we just copy a couple of these over, and then if we were to take these objects and we go into our parallel viewport, we can go to isometric. Let's go ahead and take a different view. So isometric, and then we can go southwest. You'll see that pop up. If we hold shift, right click and drag, we can do a make 2D of these objects. So again, we'll add hidden lines to these. And then you would basically have an isometric of all of these. Then what you would want to do potentially is like this curve that it follows would actually be your entire outline. So here you can either work with splits. So I like to do here, we're going to do split. We're going to split these objects. We're going to split that one, and we'll split it with that line, and that line. So now what I can do, I missed one here. So we'll do that. So we'll actually go around and select these as our outside. and we'll set those to outline. So that would basically make the outline of our object. Then we can select all of these inside lines, and these would be our edges. And then we could actually just select all of our hidden lines here. So we'll select them on this layer, and then we can change those to our hidden layer. So basically we would end up looking something like that. So you see there, we can do it with multiple objects. So for the isometric view, you guys only have to do one. The reason for that is basically you're going to choose one of the default views for isometric. You're going to go to set view, isometric, and then you're going to choose one of these based on whichever is the best view of your building in that specific viewport. You'll go through and do that. You'll do a make 2D of the object. Then you're either going to do line weighting. It will be more intense than this, so you'll have more than 3 layers. You'll do some line weighting in either Rhino or AutoCAD or Illustrator, and then you'll output that single drawing to an 8.5 by 11 at whatever scale it fits best. So it doesn't need to be at a specific architectural scale. It can just be at a scale to fit.